Welcome to Build Your Dream Business, brought to you by Solo. More than just a booking app, we're a community for independent pros in hair, beauty and wellness. I'm Katrina, here to bring you closer to real stories of success from the industry's finest and share practical advice to help your business flourish. In today's episode, we talk to Nicky Matthews, the founder of Sienna X, about her journey from air hostess to leading beauty entrepreneur. We discuss adapting to industry changes, building client trust, and the importance of client retention and growing a successful beauty business. Welcome, Nicky. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, hi, Katrina. You okay?
So well, thank you. So pleased to have you on the podcast.
Oh, well, thank you for inviting me.
Why don't you kick off by kind of telling us how you got into the industry? I know that you actually started your career as an air hostess before founding Sienna X. What inspired you to move into beauty?
Well, I was actually in sales first, and I had quite a few sales jobs. But then I always wanted to travel the world. So I took the biggest drop in wages to, have a go at traveling the world. So I did that for nearly 11 years. So it was really good fun. Got to, meet some amazing people, go to some amazing places. And I did it in the nice times. So I did have quite a lot of time off, played a lot of tennis and had a bit of fun. So, and then I decided I wanted children. So, I took the severance and I started a little arty parties business. So I did children's parties at the weekends, did like design a t-shirt, design mugs, which was quite good fun. And then my friend asked me if I wanted to go to a beauty show. And I didn't really want to go to an exhibition because one of my previous sales jobs was designing and building exhibition stands. So I'd sort of done that. And I thought, oh, not really. And she said, well, it's a day off the children, it'd be a good day out, together. And I thought, oh, go on then, that'll be fun. So I turned up at this exhibition and it was, it was 20 years ago, wasn't it? 20 plus years ago. So it was heaving, it was vibrant, everybody seemed really happy. And I thought, do you know what? I could do a little bit of beauty along with my business and not have to work so many weekends. So I bought into a nail kit and then it took me a bit too long. I'm a bit of if something takes too long, I'd lose interest. So I'd seen the tanning and I thought, I should have bought the tan, 15 minutes. And, you can earn £20, £25. I should have done that. So I bought a tanning kit after the show. And when I got it, there was nothing to be able to spray tan people in their homes. So I rang around loads of people and nothing was coming out. And my dad found me an old nurse's screen, the old concertina ones at a charity shop. And he said, would this do? And I thought, actually, yes, I'll wrap it in plastic. So it was a bit of, it did the job, but it didn't look great.
This blows my mind that there just wasn't a way before.
It was a bit messy because you had to get it back in the car and it had already been sprayed. And I thought, oh, God, this is not going to work for long. And the one afternoon I got home and my children were playing with their Thomas the Tank Engine pop-up tent. And I thought, I just need that. I wonder if they make it taller.
Wow.
Unfortunately, there was bit of the internet. so I did a bit of research and rang up a Chinese company because they were the only ones who did the pop-up. And I was saying, oh, hi, can you make this tent 6 foot tall and 4 foot wide? And can it be internally waterproof with a light, with a see-through top? And he was just a bit, what are you using it for? And I said, well, we spray people brown so they have a tan. And he laughed and he said, wow, okay. So that's how it started. And he made me a sample. And back then I didn't know what a shipping number, he just said, give me your shipping number. And I was thinking, I have no idea what a shipping number is. But he just made me a sample. We still buy from him now.
Wow, that's fantastic.
He believed in me. And normally when you buy from suppliers, you have to pay the shipping, and he sent me it free. So with no shipping. But he did make me buy a container load.
Worth it in the end. I think especially when somebody listens to something that's a completely new idea.
Yeah.
Wow, that is fantastic. Has that pop-up cubicle evolved over the years, or has it stayed pretty much the same?
It did have a door, so we took the door off because I thought it could become a changing room as well, which it could, but I guess if you're spray tanning in it, you don't want it to be a changing room as well. So we took the door off. We made the top clearer a bit further down, so it's a bit more see-through at the top. But we made it to really good quality. I was very lucky that I didn't think about this, but the company I happened to call had the pop-up patent, and I trademarked the design patent. So we had quite a secure patent, but I chose them because they made tents for children, and they have to be made to a certain quality so that the wire never comes apart. We made them too well because they last too long, but that's good. That's what I wanted. It gave us our standard of quality, which was the key thing. I wanted quality.
I mean, that's such an early example of, sustainable practices in business. So there you are.
Yeah.
Obviously, the industry has evolved a lot since Sienna X first launched. How have you kind of adapted the brand to keep up with industry trends and also just consumer expectations?
I was really fortunate that I've worked for pretty good companies before I flew. Well, I worked for Yellow Pages, and that was all about the customer, the process, listening to the customer, listening for feedback. And when I worked for British Airways, it was the same thing. So I guess I was interested to know what people thought. I didn't mind if people didn't like certain things, or because it was a chance to improve. When we started, I sold these cubicles by copy and pasting all the Yale.com spas, salons, colleges, hairdressers into spreadsheets that I could do at mail shots. So I guess, you did letters back then.
Yeah.
It was less emails. You couldn't really get emails as easily as you can nowadays. And we advertised in the magazines, we did exhibitions. And I guess nowadays, when you look at how people buy, they buy online. Not many people want to speak to you anymore. They want a live chat. They want a WhatsApp. So fortunately, we kept up with everything. I joined business groups. I always had a business mentor, really nearly right from the start. So it was almost like having somebody who knew quite a lot of things. I could go, I think I need to do a course. Do I need to go to college? Do I need to go? And he was like, no, you don't need to do a course. You just need to keep asking me questions. So it was just that, really, being curious and asking lots of questions.
What do you think the biggest kind of change has been over the past 20 years?
It's a bit more of a level playing field in being able to choose just on price, or, because you're buying off the internet and everybody's looking just for the price rather than what are you getting, what's the support, what's the quality of the products. And I know you can search for that, but sometimes there's nothing quite like speaking to somebody, is there, to get a real handle of how easy it is to get into something, what support you get, give people confidence in the fact that you have got the ability to do it, whereas online, you haven't got that two-way conversation as much anymore.
Yeah, I guess it could feel like a very fast sales cycle. Look at price, buy, and then you don't like it, buy another one. And
absolutely, it is a bit of a throwaway society, unfortunately, and actually, instead of maybe paying a little bit more and getting something that you're going to get for ever, that's quite a big change. It's just all online now, whereas it was always, I guess we used to have a contact centre of 8 or 10 people, and now you've got live chat, so it's less people, because all the questions that come up, you can think, right, we can make that clearer on the website, or we make that clearer in the social posts that we put out.
Obviously, using reputable and high quality brands, like, you're saying you just have to buy the one pop-up spray tan cubicle and that's yours for life. That has a huge impact on how professionals run their businesses. I think also from the perspective of clients recognizing that brand, the trust in that brand can make a big difference in the service experience. How do you say beauty professionals can leverage using those trusted brands to improve their client satisfaction and retention?
I actually used to go out to salons to try and convince them, to buy Sienna X. And the one time I was doing market research, so I wasn't actually from Sienna X when I was doing this market research, just to try and get some, honest feedback on what we were going to launch and everything. And it was quite interesting that the different salons I went into, you could tell by the way they presented their business, by the way they presented themselves, how well each of them would be doing. Because you've already got this perception, haven't you? You walk in the door and I would go into one salon and you'd go, oh my God, this is gorgeous. And it looks really nice. And it's just little touches, little finishes. The lady I was speaking to was in a uniform. She was impeccable. Everything was just so. So you immediately have this change in attitude, don't you, I guess? So we got chatting. And one of my questions was, where do you get your inspiration from in your business? And she went to spas to do it. And you could really tell in her salon because you just thought, yeah. I said, what was most important to you when you buy into brands? And it was quality, support, and then price. That's how she bought. So when I went into another salon who didn't look anywhere like that at all, I said, how do you buy your brands? And she bought on price number one. She wasn't really bothered about the brand. And yes, she did want some support. And I said, oh, that's interesting. What makes you buy on price? And she said, because it's really important. You've got to be able to afford it. And I said, okay, so if you read a magazine and you see mascaras and your usual mascara scored a 1, but this other mascara scored 10 out of 10, your usual mascara was £5, but this mascara was £15-20. What would you do? She said, oh, I'd go and buy it. I said, so you're not priced then, are you? You're not priced, you are quality and the fact it works. I said, so really the brands you should be using should reflect what you believe in yourself. So it was quite interesting. Anyway, so what am I going to do about high standards? I just think high standards are so important. When a client comes to you, you set the bar each time. So for instance, I can tell you when I've been to a salon and the first time I went, I'd get a nice cup of tea, get a really nice, lady going, oh, how's your day been and everything. Really lovely. And then the next time I go, I don't get offered the cup of tea. As a therapist, you've just got to be mindful of once you've started doing something, that's your minimum bar and you can never drop below it. Have a reminder somewhere because you've got to keep that level of service. And if you want to create or, charge the higher price points, that person should feel like they're getting real value for money.
It is about the perception of that whole experience rather than just the treatment itself. Like you say, it is a treat. You want to feel like you're having an experience.
I think it's quite easy for therapists to get it right. And that is keep remembering you are treating somebody, you're taking money off somebody. So it's got to be such a beautiful experience. They want to repeat it. And that also means when you're chatting to customers or clients, try to also remember not to tell them your problems, because sometimes that's happened to me as well. And I actually don't like anybody talking to me when I go for treatments anymore, which is really bad, I know. But I actually say, do you mind if we just don't speak, especially if it's a massage?
Yeah, this is something we've added on to Secret Spa. And I see a lot of people they're having like the silent treatment option, which I think is so great. Some people like to chat, some people don't. And then having that option in there, and actually something I'd advise all practitioners to add to their menus, their price list.
I love it.
Counteracts any awkwardness. Some people want to talk, some people don't. You choose.
The therapist is in the name, therapist. And actually when you go and see a therapist, for counselling and everything, the therapist hardly does any talking. They just ask questions. And I do think therapists could learn a lot from that.
I think that's such a great point of keeping up those high standards. I think we can often think, we got a client through the door, they made a repeat booking once, so that's it, they're secured. But
for sure,
you need to work hard to keep that client coming back time and time again. Is there anything else that you'd recommend for professionals to implement in their routine, maybe in relation to tanning?
So obviously the consultation card every single time, because, you know, things change. So make sure you go through that. And also the great thing about the Sienna consultation cards is there's a place for notes, because really you should try and remember something that you spoke about. You know, how's your daughter on X? How's your holiday in Spain? And it's really nice that you've made them feel super special because you've remembered something about them.
Yeah.
And also it's got all the relevant questions, etc., to make sure that nothing's changed, because things change in between treatments. You know, medication can change, things like that. But we love the process of like the barrier cream, the spritz for preparing if they haven't, you know, maybe they put deodorant on that day and they've forgotten. So you can wipe that away with your exfoliating spritz. You've got your barrier cream to protect all the areas that can go a bit darker. You've got your sticky feet. You've got hair caps if you want to use them. Disposable pants. There's everything that makes people think, oh, this is really nice. And it's quite interesting when somebody has tried different tans in different places and then they comment and say, oh, I didn't get the barrier cream before. Gosh, this is new. But actually, we should be doing that every time.
It does make you feel very confident in the treatment as a client as well. You kind of feel that all bases are covered. A friend of mine got a Sienna X tan, her first ever spray tan before her wedding a couple of months ago. And she actually commented about how kind of, she literally said, I felt that I had all bases covered because you had the cap, you had the sticky feet, you had this, you had that. And she felt confident that, you know, she's not going to be streaky. So it kind of, it makes the client feel like...
Well, they trust you.
Exactly, yeah.
So one of the best things on the, you know, the best parts of our treatment are the tan removal wipes. With tan, you've got the guide colour in, which is great because you get to see where you're spraying and everything. And the client gets immediate gratification because they've got a bit of colour. But obviously you're going to explain to them that this is just a guide colour for you to show where you've been spraying. But when you're doing the tan removal wipes at the end of the treatment, you can wipe their hands, wipe their nails off, etc. And you can say, look, I haven't sprayed your hands today, so they're all nice and clean. But when you leave me today, you're going to be looking in the mirror. And then you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to go, oh, you've sprayed my hands. So you can't ring me tomorrow that your hands are sprayed because look, they're clean. But please be careful when you leave me today because you're going to love it. You're going to love the colour. And we touch ourselves more than we think. Because we do. If you think about, if you really observe yourself in the day.
Yeah, I mean, look at me now. I'm constantly, yeah.
And then you've covered yourself, but you're also giving them advice. And you're saying, you know, just wipe the palms of your hands throughout the day, and that would reduce that happening. So again, it's that high quality. You're thinking about them again, and you're just giving them that advice.
This podcast is brought to you by us here at Solo. If you're a self-employed beauty pro, Solo is the booking app that helps you not only manage your appointments, but also build your brand. With Solo, you can create your own personalized booking website where clients can easily view your availability, read your reviews, and even pay deposits upfront, giving them a seamless booking experience and saving you valuable time. With everything from consultation forms to marketing tools all in one place, growing your dream business has never been easier. If you haven't checked us out yet, why not start your free trial today? Sort of cycling back to the beginning of someone's journey as a beauty professional, you know, we've spoken a lot about client retention. What are the most important things for somebody just starting out in their journey to consider? How important is it to have a business plan and know where you're going and what you want to achieve?
I think when you're starting a business, it's good to have a little bit of an idea of, you know, where you're going to go, what you're going to do, etc. Most businesses don't have that much success in continuing. So if you've got a bit of a plan, a bit of a game plan, it sort of helps. So it might be, right, what am I going to specialize in? Because that's one thing I've learned over the years. Sometimes it's good to specialize in something. You might do all the other treatments, but I am an expert at X. And then once you've got them on board with that, because they'll be going, oh, what else do you do now? Because they've trusted you, they've got on board with you, and then you can go into something else with them. So I think having a focus on what's going to be your sting might help. And having a plan on who's your customer going to be. Are you going to stay around the area that you live, or are you going to travel a bit further and get that higher clientele? But if you have an idea of what client you want to attract, because I want to have this much money for my treatments, you can then start to think, right, so who's this person? Where will they shop? What will they read? What will they look on Instagram? And then you can start thinking, okay, I'm after that person. You'll start building a vision of what your business could look like or should look like. And then if you're not attracting those clients, you could start to look at, have I got that right?
Yeah.
Am I marketing myself in the right places? Am I saying the right things?
Going back to that ideal customer profile, this is an idea that we talk about quite a lot. Where would you recommend professionals to start with establishing that? Do we kind of think, how do I want my business to look? What days do I want to open? What price point do I want? What are some of the things to consider when working out who your ideal customer is?
I guess it's starting with yourself and thinking, right, where can I make the most success of my business that gives me money that I can continue to grow my business? Because I think sometimes people fall into a trap of thinking, I'm going to be the cheapest because I'll get more business. You don't want people who want cheap, because they tend to flit around and they'll just keep moving to the next cheapest place. So don't fall into that trap, and then you don't give yourself a chance to be able to grow if you want to do something else into your business, if you want to train in something else, etc. So set a standard. And the internet has everything nowadays. And nowadays, I know everybody's against it, but ChatGPT is blooming amazing.
Oh, it is, yeah.
But if you need some wording, some guidance, some help, you can put it in and just see what, we call him Alan, actually. Just see what Alan says.
It's a great starting point, isn't it? Sometimes you have a task and you think, I don't know where to start.
That's the hardest part, is the start, isn't it? And the other thing is there's like HubSpot. I'm sure it's called HubSpot. So I know you can write business plans, strategy, you can go customer profiles. And I'm sure if you put customer profiles into HubSpot, I haven't tried, but I'm sure they would give you an insight. So there's just things like that, I guess. It just gets you thinking. And when you know where your customers are, then you can start targeting them.
I like the idea of firing that into ChatGPT. Like you said, sort of thinking, right, I want to find, how do I target mums in this area? Where could they possibly live? What would I do? Like it's a starting point. And then you kind of get yourself thinking, don't you? You're on the right track.
Yeah.
The power of community is huge, isn't it? I think especially when you are on your own, it can be a very lonely place to be. You don't have any colleagues to ask for advice. Am I doing this correctly? How do I deal with this rude client? How have Sienna X sort of supported independent professionals with providing them with a community and sort of a support network?
We've got an expert team, a contact centre team. We've got live chat. We do newsletters where we have, regularly answered questions. We've got a Facebook group where people can ask questions. And I think it's those communities and those groups and just asking again, it just helps you think, right, how am I going to approach this in the best way and the best light? Because sometimes I see people jump to, well, it's not my fault. And sometimes it's better to take a hit and go and try and fix it to get them to come back. A lot of people love telling people bad things, and they very, very rarely tell the good. So sometimes it's best just to think, right, okay, how can I make this not happen again? So I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to say, come for another treatment if I have to, or do X. And then how am I going to put something in place that I don't get this happen again?
Yeah. Again, it's that like continuous feedback loop that ultimately helps you grow. It might be difficult to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that you touched briefly on positioning yourself as an expert. How would you advise professionals to do that? Is that something on their website? Is it talking about their training more?
Social posts will be a really good way, because they could maybe do like some top tips of how to continue, if it's a massage, how to continue doing little massage things or in between treatments. sharing things. I saw this today. I thought this was really interesting about massage, how good it makes you feel. The statistics are, so you're always feeding the people who follow you. And they're thinking, oh, yeah, she knows. She shares interesting things, actually. Actually, that's a really good point. So when they next think they want a massage or they next think they want X, you'll be top of mind.
For anybody that's looking to add tanning to their repertoire, whether you're brand new to beauty or whether you already run a beauty business, what's the process like? What do they have to do?
So if they are totally brand new to tanning, or say they're beauty trained and they want to add tanning, we've got courses, which we would recommend you come on a face-to-face course. There's a prerequisite course that's online, so you get to learn all the academic side. After that course, you can go home and practice with water. So the ability to be up and running is super quick with tanning. So we say it's train in a day, practice over a few days, and then you're in profit in a few weeks.
It's a super profitable treatment, isn't it, in terms of how long you're actually spending with a client? It's incredible.
Yeah, and then you can also, because they've got colour, people are going to say, you look good, where have you been? And they go, oh, actually, it's a tan, So as a way of, giving them some cards and saying, oh, you could have a loyalty card and say, look, if you hand these out, the more business you get me, I can help you back with some free tans after so many recommendations, things like that.
Yeah, nice, fantastic. That's actually something that we got built into Solo, sort of client referral scheme, and it works so well. You can really use your clients to refer you and then reward them in turn. So yeah, it's a fantastic way to do it, isn't it?
And I think Solo is brilliant. And I would suggest everybody take a look at it if they haven't got a booking system, because one of my other pet hates is I'm a bit of a last minute person when I want to book things, because I'm always so busy and I suddenly think, oh, I'm going to get my toes done. Right. And I ring round God knows how many people, because I am a telephone person. And so many people don't answer their phone, or they might leave a message, but the message is leave me a message. But if they'd have said, look, book me on Solo, or book me on this, check my availability on X, or I'm in treatments at the moment, but check my availability on, and I could go on that, and then I'd be able to book it and think, oh, great, I can book the thing. Brilliant.
It's so important to have that call to action, isn't it? I think the same goes for, Instagram. You could be posting beautiful photos of the treatments you performed, but if a potential client doesn't know how to book you,
should have a book here, shouldn't it? Book me now.
Exactly, yeah, and it's so simple to do. And, you've done all the hard work of taking beautiful photos and uploading them to a social media or however else you market. But if there's no call to action on how you're actually bookable, it's all a bit of a waste of time.
There's plenty of opportunity for therapists to keep promoting themselves.
Absolutely. We like to finish off our podcast with a quick fire round. What is a beauty product that you can't live without?
I have to have mascara. So that would be my beauty product I couldn't live without.
What is a beauty trend that you're loving right now?
Everything's a bit more natural looking, less is more. And that's great for me, because I am a less is more person. And what I love about it more than anything is I feel a lot of people try too hard to change themselves. And I think actually we're beautiful as we are.
I mean, speaking of that natural trend, every time I've had a Sienna spray tan, that's the feedback that I've had from them again.
Thank you for that, because that's our main.
Yeah, and people are sometimes surprised. People that aren't familiar with tans, I think you might only notice a badly done job. So you might think, you might look orange because you've seen somebody do like a DIY treatment on themselves. And people always say wow, you just look like you've been on holiday.
We love doing our tans like it's a natural tan. So quite a lot of people do tans and they tan all over. But actually, when we tan in the sun, we have pale.
Yeah, like the arms. Yeah.
So we try and teach people to only tan the top part. And if you're going to spray tan the underneath, do it from further away. So it's a really light covering. So that's what I do when I tan myself. I don't tan the parts that would tan and not tan in the sun. So it looks more real.
Absolute genius. What is a beauty trend that you're not loving so much?
I apologise in advance, but I do speak honestly, and I'm not loving some lip fillers that people are having done at the moment. I feel it's a real shame. Unfortunately, when I was younger, we didn't have that, I guess, and I'm happy with me, and and if people don't like me, tough.
I think you're right. I think there is a lovely trend going back towards that more kind of natural beauty look, and people, really overdone fillers.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite podcast, book, or even content creator for business inspiration?
I love Dario, the CEO. I think that's quite cool. I do listen to a lot of podcasts, but I listen to them on subjects rather than people. So if a certain subject, I think, oh yeah, I'll listen to that, or I look for them. So if I'm thinking, oh, I need to learn more about X or Y, or what's people's perceptions on X, Y, I look for the subject rather than the person.
I think that's a great idea, actually, looking for subjects that you want to learn more about on podcasts. It's kind of a more joyful way of learning, I would say.
Yes, for sure. Because life is learning, isn't it? And I always think, I think the day we think we know everything is the day you're done, really, because everything changes so quickly.
If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I'd probably say, you're doing okay, carry on, and maybe think a little bit more about planning for the future. But because I always knew I wanted to do certain things, I always knew I wanted to travel the world, so I'd probably be an air stewardess. I guess I did have a little bit of a plan.
What is one piece of advice you'd give others trying to grow their business?
Mine would be belief. I absolutely think it's all about belief and hard work. But there was a point in my business, probably about 5 years after I started, that I started getting nervous. Started thinking, oh my God, because we were growing crazy and everything. And then, taking bigger team on and everything. And I started getting really nervous and thinking, oh God, what if it doesn't work? So belief, hard work, obviously, always a solution, and never giving up. Because the day you give up, it's going to fail.
Fantastic. Well, what a wonderful sentiment to finish on. Thank you so much, Nicky. I think you've given so much insight and inspiration to our listeners.
Oh, thank you. I hope it was useful for, I hope, there's been some incredible learnings I've had over the years, and I love it. I love business. I love the beauty industry. I love helping people, because the things I've learned over the years, you just think, oh my God, I want to share that. I need to tell people. So it's incredible that, we have this opportunity.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favourite podcast app. If you like the episode, why not leave a review or share it with a beauty industry friend? And if you're curious about Solo, you can download it for free on the App Store or Google Play and take advantage of our free trial.